My name is Rudolph.
My name is Perpetual.
And together we are from Love, Faith and Passion. So today we have a very interesting topic.
We're talking about the 3 things to do when your boyfriend cheats on you.
So please stay tuned. I believe we'll have a very educative and interesting time together.
Yes, we will. Initially, this video, like we announced on Facebook, well, I announced was going to be just me. Then, well, I mean, where can I go without my knight in shining armor? So anyway, I honestly feel that it's good to hear from the man's perspective. So Pastor Rudolph is joining us, and he's just going to, you know, throw in his wisdom. I mean, I look forward to hearing from him all the time because he always has something special to offer. So the first thing that I believe that every woman should do when they find out that their boyfriend has cheated, they have proof that yes, it happened, is to separate yourself from what this person has done. I know there's a temptation to feel like you're not good enough. Like, you know, what did I do for this person? I know that those are very common questions, but it's very important for you to separate yourself from this person's choices. If they make the choice, it doesn't directly mean that it's because you're not good enough. Sometimes they're going through their own issues. And I believe that it's also important to separate yourself for the sake of your peace and your sanity. Because if you start to wonder how you were not good enough, there are many reasons that you're going to find that convince you that you're not good enough. And that leads to low self-esteem. So you need to separate yourself from their action. It's not your fault. And I believe that, you know what, many people can argue with this and say, but what if you push him against the wall? His cheating is his choice.
That's true.
Nobody can force you to do something that you didn't want to do or something that is not right according to your values.
That's true.
I don't know if Pastor P has anything to add on that.
I think the fact that when someone cheats on you, it is important for you to accept the fact that, or come to terms with the fact that most of the guys, when guys cheat, my understanding has been from the fact that they do not understand the value of a woman's heart. For me, one thing that my life changed when I read a book that my beloved aunt gave me, Aunt Nyasha. She gave me this book.
Books.
Yeah, she gave me this book when I was, I think, about 16, somewhere there. And this book basically spoke about the heart of a woman and the value of a heart of a woman. For me, from that day onwards, it completely changed how I looked at women. And I think as I even interacted with my fellow young men, even at that very early age, I could actually tell that these guys have no clue what they're dealing with when they're saying that I have a girlfriend, or they don't understand what it means for a woman to hand over her heart to you. And so when someone then who has a lack of understanding of what is actually in his hands then cheats on you, it literally means that the fault is with him for the lack of understanding, and there is a problem with him and not a problem with you. So it means that if you do not have that understanding yourself, you might, as you said, beat yourself up. You might think, oh no, am I not good enough? And yet there is a fundamental issue with this other person.
Wow. I love the fact that you've answered the question that most girls would ask, most ladies even, like, why do men cheat? So basically, men cheat when they don't understand the value of a woman's heart.
Very true, yeah. Because even when you look at it from a practical perspective, and when you break it down to what cheating really is, it's a break of trust. It is trying to find something else that you feel that you are not finding where you are. And yet, when you are really honest with yourself, the very reason why you are with that person to begin with is because you found something. So why are you trying to find something else? Can you imagine if you got an offer letter from your dream job, then they gave you benefits and everything that you ever wanted in a job? You literally prayed for this job. Can you imagine reporting at 9 and then leaving at 9:15 to go and look for another job? Or going, it literally means that you don't see the value. And then so your behavior does not match someone who really understands what they have in their hands, and it completely changes the game. Yeah.
Wow, those are really good points. Anyway, moving forward. So for me, the number two thing that you need to do when you find out that your boyfriend has cheated is deciding or looking through the two decisions, because there are two decisions. You could stay or you could leave. But now when you get to this place, you need to now weigh the cost. The cost on you when you stay, the cost on you when you leave. And you know, most people skip this stage because you find out that he's cheated. Yes, you know, you go through the motions, but you really don't sit yourself down to think, okay, if I stay, what would that cost me? And if I leave, what would that cost me? That's how come you find sometimes people say, okay, I'm gonna stay, but a few weeks later they're like, you know what, no. And they leave. So you need to weigh the cost. What would this cost me? And if you weigh what it will cost you, it will allow you to make a decision away from emotions. It's okay to spend some time to just really think about what this means for you at an individual level, because obviously the other person and will be asking you, I'm sorry, let's make it work. Don't let that moment pressure you. Take into account what it will cost you.
And I think even when you are looking at the cost as well, one thing that I always think about is the fact that, do you really get where all this will leave you at the end of the day? Because if you decide to stay, indeed there is a price to pay, and at times people forget to realize that at times actually the price of staying is higher than the price of leaving, because you have to overcome so many things. And for me, what helps is really understanding, what are you staying for? So many people stay because but we have built so much together, and so long. You choose to hold on to memories and completely forget the present and the future as well. What are memories of the past when what we are fundamentally dealing with is something that is not worth fighting for? And I think this is where the Holy Spirit really helps us as believers, where you get to come back to God and ask Him that, if I'm going to stay, what am I really staying for? Because I can honestly say that I have seen situations where, as I said, a fundamental shift happens in a man's life where he realizes that, you know what I'm doing is really wrong. What I'm doing is as a lack of understanding. It is childish. So many things that shift in a man's thinking after he has actually done wrong, right? And then so he's able to then move forward and do so much better. But then how do you know whether someone is at that place or someone is just telling you what you want to hear? You have to rely on the Holy Spirit, so that even as you are staying, you are staying for something that is sustainable moving forward. You're staying for something that has value, even as God releases you to remain in that place.
And I know that this is a bit, I'm digressing a bit, but I feel it's so impressed on my heart to add. You know that when you are weighing the cost on what it will take for you to stay or leave, I believe that most people, especially ladies, we have this one thing that we hold on to. So for example, like I was in this relationship that was on and off for about 2-3 years, and I just couldn't let go, because for me, I said, you know what, my first would be my husband. My first would be my husband, and that put me in a space where no matter what happened, I was gonna brave it. But I realized that, you see, I had not taken into account the cost, and this cost me so much so that this person would come back every now and then, and whoever was in my life, I would throw away, because I had that one thing that I had decided in my heart. It was a soul tie, because it was deeper than what's on the surface. Like, I'll be with a good guy, and this person just comes around and says, look, I want you back. Let's make. And I would be running, you know. So taking into account the cost at a personal level, like with my identity as a child of God, what would this do to me? Because I promise you, I had lost myself in that place. It took me getting to know God. And I know sometimes people think that when we talk about having a relationship with God, it's so cliche. But it took a relationship with God for me to be able to say no. And when I said no, I meant it. You know, you break up with someone, it's been over 2 years. They show up and you still go for lunch with them. You don't even know. It's because of the words that you have spoken, and now you have not taken into account the cost for staying, that you are where you are. So take into account the cost and begin now to see your value in Christ. I just thought I should throw that in here.
So number 3.
Number 3, when you choose now, when you have accounted for your cost, now if you choose to leave, make peace with the fact that no matter how many times this person is gonna beg, I'm good. Because if you do not make peace with being good, no matter how much they want you, you get into cycles. There's so many people who break up, get back, break up, get back, because they didn't find their solid position in staying or leaving. And now, if you're gonna leave, you need now to put yourself on this path where you accept that I'm starting a process of healing. You don't heal completely after a week. Some people think, and it's something that I've gone through. You know, where you want to be okay after a week. Okay, so if it's not meant to be, why am I feeling like this? You're feeling like that because you are separating with somebody that you had profoundly become close with. You had, at some point, like you were doing everything, you know, walks, whatever. So all that is not there. So you have to take this path where you're now healing. And healing takes courage. It takes courage because there will be times when now your mind starts playing tricks on you. Are you sure? You know, you were so happy. It highlights to you all the nice things but leaves out what really went on in that place. So you need to allow yourself to heal. And it's not easy. Don't expect that healing will be 1, 2, 3. After a week, I'm over him. Thank God for people who are graced to move on just like that. But I don't think that most of us are, especially if you've been with someone for a long time. You need time to process what has happened. You need time to get used to not getting a text every morning or every afternoon or every evening. And then if you're going to stay, there's so much work.
There is.
There's so much work because you have to tell your mind what to think. Because you will start thinking, okay, so if he's on his phone, and if you found text messages like girls were like the CIA, like, girl, I know. So you see him on his phone for a bit and you're like, so is he chatting with another girl? That is work. You need a good fight of faith to actually tell yourself that, you know what, I am staying. And if the person has shown signs that yes, they are sorry and they're willing to make it work, what will break you apart is when you fail to acknowledge that you will feel some type of way and it needs to be addressed.
That's right.
So you need to forgive the person. And when I say forgive, it is forgive. Forget the things of the past. Don't refer to them in any fight. Because sometimes you have an argument. Hey, that's why you even end up doing that. And you keep going backwards. You keep hurting each other. Even when the person feels like they are changing, you keep reminding them of how they're not a good person. You keep reminding them of what they did. So if you're going to stay, you need the discipline to teach your mind what to think. You also need the discipline to learn to be secure. That's real. To learn to be secure after having been cheated on is not an easy job. Because you will be tempted. I remember going to stalk this girl and I'm like, you know what? It's just, you start looking, like, I was obsessing over this girl. Like, I would go to her Facebook, spend hours just look, what is she doing? What sort of language does she use? Am I not smart enough? So if you're going to stay, you need the discipline to be secure in yourself, to believe that you have something to offer. You're good enough. And not compare yourself to the other person. Because you will never win. I don't have very long hair. This girl had long hair, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I gotta do to make my hair grow? But you see, all those are signs of not having dealt with the reality of staying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I think with me, in closing, what I would want to emphasize is the importance of being very grounded in who you are. Especially as believers, it's important. We cannot understate or even overstate the importance of being grounded in who you are. Because when someone else's flaws become your identity, there is a huge problem there. And for so many women, this is a flaw in someone's character, in who they are. And now you take it and you wear it as a badge. And it messes you up in so many ways. How that happens, or how you see the evidence of that, is that you find yourself in these cycles. In these cycles, at times it's with the same person, where you allow themselves to serially cheat on you, and you tell yourself all these things to validate the reason why you're staying. No, that's not right. And at times you allow yourself to go into cycles with other people where they continue to do the same thing, and you ask yourself that, but why do I keep finding myself in these situations? It's simply because that now there is a defect that is evident, that you are carrying around, that you might not see, but guys are able to also tell your vulnerability. That this one, you know, she'll probably allow me to get away with this. So it's very important that even when someone cheats on you, you are very careful to find your identity in God and understand that their flaw does not and will never define who you are. So even if you do decide to move on freely, move on with a light heart, knowing that there is someone who God will place a demand on their character, on a demand on who they are, to see you for who you are, to see your worth, and to see your value the way that God sees you. And so I thought that was really important.
That was powerful. So loaded. That someone's flaws is not your identity.
That's true.
Their choices cannot be your identity. Well, thank you so much for watching the video. We encourage you to subscribe, like, share with your friends. Like, girls, be a sister's keeper. Like, some of us were lost in cycles for so long because we just didn't know better. So share with your friends. Leave us a comment. What would you like us to talk about? These are issues that are affecting people even in the church. But you can't really talk about it because you're a Sunday goer. Like every day you're in the presence of God. So to admit that you're in a cycle, it's not going to happen. So this is a safe space. Thank you so much.
Thank you
like,
so much.
share, subscribe, share again. Tell your friends to tell their friends. So we'll see you in our next video.
Yeah, until we see you again. Bye for now.
God bless you.